This summer has taught me a lot of lessons, and one of the biggest lessons that I've learned was that I neglected the idea of appreciating everything. Now, we as a generation have been so focused on what's the next big thing or what's going to happen in our futures. We do not tend to live in the present and appreciate where we are. Realistically, we could be living in a much worse life, in an infinitely times worse life, but we're able to wake up, we're able to eat breakfast, go to school, work, or college, and move on with our days. Now, the biggest issue that I've had is that I have neglected appreciating my parents and appreciating my friends. I would live in the moment a lot, and I wouldn't realize that if it hadn't been of those people that I have encountered in my life, I wouldn't have been in a much greater mental state. I honestly would have been depressed and not happy with my life if I hadn't been able to bring those conversations with those people. And I would say that being able to just say anything to someone is something I didn't realize was so valuable because not every friend or person is capable of having deep, meaningful conversations with. Now, I think people have taken the idea that every negative moment in your life is purely negative. Like there's no positive that comes out of it. And I honestly don't think that. And the idea is that the major problem within our generation is that we struggle to reflect. Reflection is something that I honestly don't see people focusing on in their lives. We make bad things way more amplified, and we don't realize how we can use those moments to help build way more character in ourselves. Character development is important. You need this to grow. You need bad moments for growth in general. And I think everyone has experienced the time where you might have had a best friend, a BFF, a significant other in your life, either a girlfriend or boyfriend, wife or husband, and they might just randomly disappear. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes, it could be anything. Anything could happen. This world is unpredictable. And it might be in a very negative or positive way. You know, you might have had an argument. You might have fought over something. Maybe they were a snake and you didn't think they would be, or you guys had the most fun in your lives, but certain disagreements made you move away from one another. And I think the overarching idea is that appreciating all the good times and using the bad times to not only make you better as a person, but also view others in that same light is extremely important. Just because you reflect, you need to also assume the good in everyone. You need to also assume that other people are reflecting also. And I would say for growth to happen, if you don't have bad moments, negative times in your life, if your life is all sunshine and rainbows, you're not going to be a good person. You need bad moments to get somewhere. You need to appreciate bad times. Because realistically, you can't grow as a person if you don't have them. And the idea that I'm trying to close out with is that our generation, for us to kind of get somewhere and being able to communicate these problems to others and emphasizing reflection and focusing on enjoying living in the moment and stop worrying about what's the next big thing. Let's just keep working hard currently instead of working towards a undefined future. Like we don't know what's exactly going to happen next. The world is extremely complicated, man, and there's so many things that could happen at any time. And I honestly think that's one of the most beautiful things in life.